Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the closed session. City Attorney Logue will make a closed session announcement, and then the City Council welcomes public comment on the items listed for closed session.
Thank you. Good evening. Jennifer Logue, City Attorney. There are two items on the closed session agenda tonight. Item 2.1 is a conference with legal counsel regarding a liability claim pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9. The name of the claimant is Paul Mansourian. Item 2.2 is a conference with legal counsel regarding a liability claim pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9. The name of the claimant is Vijay Kumar.
Thank you. Would any member of the public joining us virtually or in person like to provide comment on the closed session items listed on tonight's agenda? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or submit a blue speaker card to the city clerk. We will take in-person speakers first. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak on the closed session items? I'm not seeing any. I have not yet been elevated to the panel, so I can't check the Zoom attendees. Are you able to see, Heather, whether there are members of the public in Zoom? Here we go. Are there any, so I'm not seeing any members of the public participating virtually. I don't believe that was a sincere hand raise. Seeing no members of the public wishing to speak, the council will now recess to close session and return to the council chambers at 6:30 p.m. for the regular session. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the joint meeting of the Mountain View City Council and the Shoreline Regional Park Community of January 10th, 2023. Before we begin, I want to welcome members of the public and city staff to the council chambers tonight and acknowledge that this is our first in-person meeting in the chambers in almost 3 years. Since this is the first time we've held meetings in a hybrid format, I want to ask for your understanding in advance if we need to work through any procedural or technical issues that may come up. For those joining us in person, please note that due to our hybrid environment, audio and video presentations can no longer be shared from the lectern. Requests to show an audio or video presentation during a council meeting should be directed to city.clerk@mountainview.gov by 4:30 p.m. on the meeting date. Additionally, due to our hybrid environment, we will no longer have speakers line up to speak on an item. Anyone wishing to address the council in person must complete a blue speaker card. Please indicate the name you would like to be called by when it is your turn to speak and the item number on which you wish to speak. Please complete one blue speaker card for each item on which you wish to speak and turn them into the city clerk as soon as possible, but no later than the call for public comment on the item you are speaking on. Instructions for addressing the council virtually may be found on the posted agenda. Is Chief Shung in the audience? Chief, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. And now the city clerk will take the roll call.
All council members are present.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 3, presentation. Please note, this is a presentation only. The city council will not take any action. Public comment will occur after the presentation item, and if you wish to speak on the item in person, please submit a blue speaker card to the city clerk now. And the presentation is a proclamation in recognition of former council member Sally Lieber. Sally, would you please join me at the lectern? Join us on this side. We are happy to be joined this evening by former councilmember Sally Lieber. Sally was elected to the California Board of Equalization in November 2022, and her last day with the City Council was December 30th, 2022. The proclamation in recognition of her service reads, whereas Sally J. Lieber was elected to the City Council by the residents of Mountain View, California on November 3rd, 2020, and took her oath of office on January 12th, 2021. And whereas Councilmember Lieber has represented her constituents by serving on the Council Finance Committee, Investment Review Committee for 2 years and as chair in 2022, Council Race, Equity, and Inclusion Ad Hoc Subcommittee, Council Transportation Committee as chair, Council Youth Services Committee, and Council Neighborhoods Committee, as well as chair of the interim Castor Street Pedestrian Mall Ad Hoc Committee in 2022, championing the ongoing economic recovery and vibrancy of downtown Mountain View. And whereas Councilmember Lieber has represented the City of Mountain View regionally by sitting on the Avenidas Board of Directors, Moffett Field Restoration Authority Board, San Francisco Bay Restoration Authority, and Silicon Valley Animal Control Authority, and by serving as an alternate on the Cities Association of Santa Clara County Selection Committee, South Bay Salt Pond Restoration Project Stakeholder Forum, and Grand Boulevard Task Force Policy Committee. And whereas during her tenure on the City Council, Councilmember Lieber supported the city's adoption of local gun safety ordinances, as well as several legislative actions to address gun violence, such as further restricting assault weapons and non-serialized firearms, advocating for safe storage of firearms, and further limiting the marketing and advertising of firearms to children. And whereas Councilmember Lieber's support of climate action and environmental issues helped pass the law to create the San Francisco Bay Restoration Authority by encouraging regional climate adaptation planning to reduce climate risk, foster collaboration, and develop guidance for potential investment in regional adaptation projects, which helps the city's ambitious carbon neutrality goals and other sustainability projects. And whereas Councilmember Lieber steadfastly championed women's personal reproductive freedom and a constitutional right to reproductive freedom via support of California's Proposition 1. And whereas, while Councilmember Lieber served on the City Council, 2,479 new housing units were approved, including 654 affordable units approved, 4,978 total housing units were built, including 559 affordable units built. The Gateway Master Plan in North Bayshore was approved, which allows up to 2,800 units. The Google Middlefield Park Master Plan was approved, allowing up to 1,900 housing units, including 338 affordable housing units. And the lease of City Lot 12 was approved for the development of affordable housing. And whereas Councilmember Lieber continued to be a voice and an advocate for vulnerable, elderly, and marginalized community members by supporting affordable housing and mobile home rent stabilization, a budget equity lens for people who have disabilities, wage theft and responsible construction ordinances, the launch of Elevate MV, the city's guaranteed basic income pilot, and additional COVID-19 relief programs and allocation of American Rescue Plan Act funds toward programs serving the most vulnerable members of our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mountain View City Council, on behalf of its members, city staff, and the community, does hereby express great appreciation to Sally J. Lieber for her 2 years of dedicated service on the Mountain View City Council. Sally, would you like to say a few words?
Of course.
I'm going to say a few words.
You're just if you were. Yes,
say them
I would.
first?
Yeah,
Okay.
Please.
So first, I'm going to go off script here. We have a number of gifts for you. I'll let you unwrap them yourself.
Thank you.
And then I'm just going to say a few more informal words. I just want to let you know, Sally, how many people called, texted, and emailed me telling me that you were the only person on council who knew how to do one thing or another, whether it was accelerate our efforts at climate change, house the unhoused, work for the needs of the most vulnerable, work to turn our downtown around, or any number of other things. Apparently, according to many of your fans, you're the only one. They asked me to do anything I could to keep you on council, and unfortunately we can't. So I would like to ask you to come here. We're going to be in person, and come speak to us every once in a while, or stay at home in your pajamas. We're going to be hybrid. You can Zoom in and talk to us, give us some advice, and it's been a pleasure serving with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, you know, when the mayor said, would you like to have the microphone, that's a very dangerous thing to offer anybody in politics, but I promise I'll have you out of here by 9 o'clock, no later. But I do want to say thank you so much to my council colleagues and to our city staff. When the mayor read that laundry list of things that have happened and been completed and been started, I was very impressed with myself and very exhausted listening to it. But it's really a team effort here. And I can honestly say that in Mountain View, we have wonderful, incredible staff who provide so much support and so much policy advice and technical knowledge to the council as a whole and to us individually, in particular when you're on a committee or chairing a committee. It's really wonderful to work with the excellent staff that we have. And also, my council colleagues, we're each very different people. And I think I could tell a little story about each person when I've seen them do something that is really, really top-notch for our community. And Mountain View absolutely deserves the best. We have a very wonkish population in Mountain View. I think the number of people who actually subscribe and pay their dues to public radio and public television is very high. And people here love the content of ideas and participate in a very vigorous way. And I don't know where some of our frequent activists are. Tonight I see a few scattered among the folks who are here, but they play a very vital role too, because they ask the tough questions and they bring us a lot of knowledge about things like bicycle issues and the environment and all kinds of things, and they really push us to push the envelope on what we can do. Now, I've been drafted by 2.2 million Californians to go off to the State Board of Equalization. And just like when I was on council, I'm going to make every single meeting count and get the most that I possibly can out of every single meeting. But as was alluded to, I do just live about a block away. So I'm not going to be a stranger to these chambers and to our wonderful, wonderful community in Mountain View. So thank you all so much. Thank you to our appointees, our city clerk, our city manager, our city attorney, and all of the staff. Many of the department heads are here tonight. Thank you so much for your patience and for all the teaching that you do in terms of working with the community and being very open to the community. It really means a lot, and it has made this an excellent city with a top-notch reputation. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Would any member of the council like to say a few words? If Councilmember Kamei.
Great, thank you. I just want to thank Councilmember Lever for the 2 short but sweet years that we were able to serve together. And we will miss you dearly, but like you said, I know where you live. I know you don't live very far away. And I am sure we will always feel you present. But the thing I want to thank you for is your compassionate heart. I think that you truly try to represent those who don't have a voice and aren't represented, and really want to thank you for bringing that to council and to always having a kind word for me. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Walter.
Well, ditto to all of those things, but I also really just want to thank you for your decade-long leadership on environmental issues, particularly with respect to the restoration of San Francisco Bay. Sally was the legislator who brought the San Francisco Restoration Authority legislation to the state legislature and had it passed. And that has proven to be just a vital agency for restoring our bay and getting us ready for climate change. They will be very, very busy for many years. So anyway, I want to specifically thank you for that leadership and for all you've taught me. You are always willing to share your thought processes, and it's been a pleasure to learn from you, and I look forward to learning lots more.
Thank you. Councilmember Abe-Koga.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to, first of all, congratulate you for your new position. It's always wonderful to have Mountain View represented in all levels of government. So we're very proud of you and wish you all the best in Sacramento. And I also want to thank you for your service. It's been a pleasure working with you. And I really appreciate we have very different opinions sometimes, but we also are able to align and work together. And In particular, I appreciate your support on issues that we both care about in terms of lifting people up, whether it was the increase in the minimum wage or more recently the Guaranteed Basic Income Pilot Program. So thank you so much for all that you've done, and you literally are my neighbor by 2.5 blocks. So I think I'll hopefully see you around, at least walking your dog in the neighborhood. So best wishes again. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Matichak.
Thank you. So, Sally, I just want to say it was a pleasure meeting you. I had never met you before we started serving together on council. I appreciate the perspectives you brought, because I think you were looking at things through a different lens based upon your experience, and that was helpful. So I appreciate your contributions. I wish you all the best in your next endeavor, and I'm sure we'll see you. Thank you.
Thank you. And for my part, I don't know if you had a chance to see the sequel to the Top Gun movie, but towards the beginning, the character Maverick is testing aircraft capable of traveling at supersonic speeds and pushing the vehicle to its limit. Mach 8, Mach 9, Mach 10, everyone's cheering, wow, you did it. Mach 10.1. Mach 10.2, and at a certain point, you are pushing us, the council, the city, to its absolute limit, and then you're saying, can we do a little bit more above and beyond that? And I'm grateful to you for pushing us as far as we can go, and sometimes a little bit beyond that, and I appreciate your service to the city of Mountain View and your continuing service to the city of Mountain View. Thank you again for your service. We will now take public comment for the presentation item. Would any member of the public joining us virtually or in person like to provide comment on the presentation item listed on the agenda? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or submit a blue speaker card to the city clerk. We will take in-person speakers first. And the first speaker is Supervisor Joe Simidian.
Council members, forgive me. I think I heard one of you mutter that this was my best side anyway, so and I was going to tease the mayor about the lowbrow cultural reference to Top Gun, except I saw the movie and I loved it too, Lucas. So I want to take a minute just to share in the commendations and congratulations to Sally. We have a couple things in common. The first is I'm a county supervisor. She's now a member of the State Board of Equalization. No one knows what we do for a living. You spend all of your time explaining what you do in that job. So I'm looking forward to that. The other is I'm a recycled county supervisor. I was there. I came back. Sally was a recycled member of this city council. She was here. She came back. The things I can tell you from having both served alongside her as a colleague in the state legislature for a bit and from having watched her in the community. And none of this is captured with the thereas and therefore be it resolves and whereases. But the thing I can tell you is she is absolutely indefatigable. And as a member of the state legislature, and I think I can get a nod from Sally on this, she was the member who always was pushing the envelope. And colleagues would come up and say, you know, you don't have the votes for this. Why are you pursuing this? This is a hard vote for me. And she would just very graciously turn and say, well, because it's the right thing to do and you should just vote for it, whether it's a hard vote or not. Is that a pretty accurate recitation? Her language was sometimes a little bit more exuberant than that, but that was the general message. And the last thing I would just like to say is she has been underestimated pretty much at every point in her career. I remember when you ran for city council the first time in '98, and everybody said, oh, she's a newcomer, she doesn't have a snowball's chance. And all of a sudden she was on the city council. And then just 4 years later, ran for the California state legislature, and everybody said, she didn't have a chance. There were these name opponents. and all of a sudden she was in the California State Legislature. And then she was pushing forward on some of these measures that seemed a little bit ambitious, and all of a sudden she was the Speaker Pro Tem for the California State Assembly. So for those who said, really, she wants to run for the State Board of Equalization and go out and try and round up support from millions of Californians, that seems like a big lift. Didn't surprise me at all. The outcome didn't surprise me at all. And I just want to say congratulations. Thank you for your willingness to continue to serve during what are sometimes challenging days. And yes, we do have the official resolution. I will point out, by the way, that it is unanimous, which is not always the case at our Board of Supervisors. I think I see Otto Lee, who's here with me from the Board of Supervisors. We join our colleagues in thanking you, congratulating you, and I know you know this, but if in your new office, and I got the business card, there are either holes in the wall or a water stain, you just put this up in the right location. And you are, number one, you've made an aesthetic statement that everyone could appreciate. Number two, you can remember your friends and supporters back home who so greatly appreciate the work that you have done and will continue to do.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Sally.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Supervisor Smidian. The next speaker is Megan Fraley. And I'll remind everyone, if you want to speak in person, please submit a blue card to the city clerk.
It's been a really long time. Wow. I just wanted to say thank you, and I'll probably cry. I don't know where you are, Sally. But in any case, I'm going to speak forward. You're right there behind me. Hi, Sally. Thank you for all of the times you've sat in chambers with us as activists. Before you were on council, thank you for being on council. I wish I could say I just feel feelings of happiness and joy right now. I'm very sad that we're losing you, and also really excited for you having even more of a platform for everything you stand for. And I will be coming to your house and dragging you to council meetings to be in the audience. And I can't see the timer, but I'm just deeply, deeply grateful for the way that you've listened, the way that, and you're the only one, right? Like Allison said. That I think that it's easy as a representative to forget what it's like when you're sitting on this side of things. And when people make decisions and they leave out the part where we really feel heard, that we know that how we're feeling is impacted. And I always have been able to rely that you will speak truth and you will come from a place of deep, deep compassion and not forget us. And so I'm a little scared losing you. So I know that you'll stay with us and keep showing up with us, and thank you for being a leader and a role model, and yeah, the sharpness, strategicness, but also depth of compassion for everyone that you hold. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Alex Brown.
I mean, she beat me to it, but I am going to have to insist that you come watch these and make fun of them with me again. It won't be your first time. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. The next speaker is Theda Corns.
Hi. Jeeves and I would like to thank you. I particularly mentioned Jeeves because Jeeves is a service dog and has been to council meetings along with my other service dogs. I first met Sally actually when she was first on city council, and she came with her ironing board. And she even had her ironing board when she was in the state legislature. So she has always been incredibly accessible. And as many others have said, have always stood up for those who have no voice. And I really appreciate both your accessibility, both in terms of a person and in terms of speaking for those who don't have a voice, and for standing up for accessibility in all its forms, whether that be disability accessibility, accessibility to basic rights, minimum wage. And I just really have appreciated your mentorship and your support, just thank you very much. And I'm not speaking as a school board member, so I don't have a plaque for you or anything like that.
Thank you. See no other members of the public wishing to speak in person, we will turn to those who are participating virtually. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak. I'm not seeing any hands raised, so that concludes the the presentation. We will now proceed on to item 4. Thank you again, Sally. Consent calendar. These items will be approved by one motion unless any member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion. If you would like to speak on this item or the next item, oral communications on non-agenda items in person, please submit a blue speaker card to the city clerk now. Would any member of the council like to pull an item? Seeing no items pulled by members of the council, we'll proceed to public comment. Would any member of the public joining us virtually or in person like to provide comment on any item on the consent calendar? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or submit a blue speaker card to the city clerk. We will take in-person speakers first. There are no members of the public wishing to speak in person. I'm not seeing any hands up in the Zoom, so I'll bring the item back to council for action, and note that a motion to approve the consent calendar should also include reading the title of the resolutions attached to items 4.1 and 4.2. I see we have a motion from Councilmember Kamei, seconded by Councilmember Showalter. No comments or questions, so we'll take the vote.
Great. So, great.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
No problem. I'm getting to it. Okay, so I'd like to move item 4.1, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Mountain View, authorize and continuing virtual meetings of the City Council, committees, boards, and commissions pursuant to AB 361 and making required findings to be read in title only, further reading waived. Item 4.2, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Mountain View, amending resolution number 18575, temporarily designated for exclusive use bus-only lanes along Charleston Road from Landings Drive to Shoreline Boulevard, pursuant to California Vehicle Code Section 21655.5, and finding the resolution to be exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act under California Code of Regulations Title 14, Section 15301, to be read in title only, further reading waived.
Thank you. Seeing no one else in the queue, we'll now take the vote. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll proceed now to item 5, oral communications. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the council on any matter not on the agenda. Speakers are allowed to speak on any topic during this section. State law prohibits the council from acting on non-agenda items. If you would like to speak on this item in person or the next section of items listed under new business, please submit a blue speaker card to the city clerk now. Would any member of the public joining us virtually or in person like to provide comment on this item? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or submit a blue speaker card to the city clerk. We will take in-person speakers first. And the first member of the public wishing to speak is Maria Marroquin.
Well, thank you so much. It has been so long, and I'm so excited just to come and see you all. I know it's in the agenda, but I cannot stop to saying thank you, Sally, from all of us. from the day labor community, from the whole community. We love our heart. And we know you are going to be doing good things there too. So now I just want to speak about the situation, really difficult for people who live in their cars in this time of storms and heavy rain, and just ask for moratorium for the implementation on 72 hours parking rule. So please consider that. We are in emergency. People is still definitely in a lot of stress, and just to be moving 1,000 feet every 72 hours just increase the pain and the suffering that they, in my view, has enough. So I hope you hear my heart, and I hope you can do all that stay in your power. Probably not today, but just keep in mind. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Seeing no other members of the public wishing to speak in person, we'll turn now to our virtual speakers. There are no hands raised in Zoom, so we will close item 5, oral communications, and proceed now to item 7, new business. We will now take public comment and outside presentations for all new business items, which includes recognition of the outgoing mayor, remarks by re-elected council members, and nomination and election of the incoming mayor and vice mayor. Would any member of the public joining us virtually or in person like to provide comment on any item listed under new business? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or submit a blue speaker card to the city clerk. We will take in-person speakers first. And the first speaker is Congresswoman Anna Eshoo by video.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you to the city manager, Kimbra McCarthy, and the city clerk's office for inviting me to join you this evening. I wish I could be with you in person, but Congress just began its new session, and that requires me to be in Washington. Thank you first to Council Member Sally Lieber for your dedicated service to the city of Mountain View since you were re-elected in 2020, and throughout your time in public service to the people of Mountain View. Together with a grateful community, I wish you all the best as you join the California Board of Equalization. Let me also congratulate Council Members Lucas Ramirez and Allison Hicks and Ellen Kamai on being re-elected to continue representing this outstanding city alongside Council Members Margaret Abe-Koga, Lisa Matichak, and Pat Showalter. I'd also like to preemptively congratulate the newly elected mayor and vice mayor who will be elected later this evening. It's an honor for me to represent Mountain View in Congress. I used to live on Mount Vernon Court many years ago, and I love my time in the city. I'm very proud of how Mountain View stepped up during the COVID-19 pandemic when the City Council created a vital social safety net that kept people safe and businesses open. The City Council has also made important progress on long-term projects that will benefit Mountain View residents for generations, like increasing affordable housing, boosting community safety programs, and reigniting a growing economy. I'm so proud to have secured $15.6 million for Mountain View through the American Rescue Plan, along with funding for 2 critical community projects in the omnibus bill that was signed into law last month. We worked together to secure $750,000 to acquire, rehabilitate, and convert the Crestview Hotel into permanent supportive housing. I'm also proud to have collaborated with the city to secure $2.5 million for a pedestrian undercrossing at the Caltrain crossing at the intersection of Evelyn and Bernardo Avenues. Bravo on your exceptional work. I look forward to working closely with each of you on behalf of our mutual constituents for the betterment of the community. Thank you, everyone. Wonderful to be with you.
The next speaker is Haro Sato. And the speaker after that is Patrick Ahrens. So maybe we'll proceed now to Patrick Ahrens.
Hello, thank you so much, Mayor. My name is Patrick Ahrens. I'm the board president for the Foothill De Anza College Board. I'm also the district director for Assemblymember Evan Lowe. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you all, and it's not every day in local government where we can celebrate things, and it's just really great to see all of the newly elected council members returning and working with us. I just bring greetings from the Assembly member and from the Foothill De Anza Community College District, and wishing our sincere congratulations on your re-elections. We're looking forward to working with you all. I'm really proud to announce, as many of you know, in our service area includes Mountain View, our $898 million bond measure that was passed in 2020. We've allocated over $200 million for affordable housing for students, faculty, and staff, some of which I'm sure we would love to include in Mountain View. And so I just want to thank this council for always holding us accountable on the school board and making sure that we're being collaborative as we continue to look at and identify housing options for our students and our employees. And I'd also like to thank Supervisor Simidian, who I believe is still here, for partnering with us on a county health clinic along with Supervisor Lee, and hopefully being able to provide that as well on our campus. And so thank you so much for being wonderful partners, and we're really looking forward to continue looking ahead and working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. I am not seeing any other members of the public wishing to speak in person, so we will proceed now to the virtual speakers. And I'm not seeing any hands raised. I'm a little reluctant, Jesse, to give you the mic. We do have a couple of, two speakers. City Clerk? Trustee Corns, are you speaking?
Yes. Okay. Hello, I'm Theda Corns. I'm a member of the board member of the Mountain View Los Altos High School District, and I'm just newly elected. I'm looking forward to working with all of you. And to Luca specifically, I would like to say a very warm congratulations on your year as mayor. You and I have known each other a long time, and I've really enjoyed working with you back when you worked on city council and when you were on city council, and actually all of you have seen me at this dais many times as an advocate, and I'm looking forward to working with you in my new role. As you probably, for those of you who don't know, the city and the high school board worked closely together on a number of issues, including safe routes to schools, which I know many of you are concerned about. And I just wanted to say also that my board works well together, as does your board, and I'm looking forward also to working with a group of, I'm working with colleagues as yourselves that may have their differences, but manage to come to a resolution. And also I want to thank the staff of the City of Mountain View who work very hard. I'm already working with Prioti on Safe Routes to School, and I know the long list of Sally Lieber's achievements couldn't have been done without the city staff. So thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Jesse Cupp.
I won't embarrass you too much, Lucas, but yeah, no, I just want to thank Sally Lieber for your service and good luck in your next job. And congratulations to Pat Showalter, sorry, I'm getting flustered. To Allison, Lucas, and Ellen for being reelected. Congratulations to Pat for just being who you are. You're great. But I just want to say to Lucas, thank you for being such a good mayor this past year, and you make us proud. Thank you.
Seeing no other members of the public wishing to speak, we will proceed first with item 7.1, presentation of proclamation in recognition of the outgoing mayor.
So as vice mayor, I'm going to do a couple things at this point. The first thing I'm going to do is give you this gavel, I think. Yes?
I'll give it to you.
Oh, I'm giving it to you now. That's what the script says, okay. I think. So, just doing what I'm told. And then I'm going to give you this proclamation. And I'm also going to read I'm going to read all of your accomplishments. And then... Oh, am I off script?
Well, there's a question of whether we should go up there.
I was going to do this after that, but we can do it now if you'd like. Okay, let's go up there now.
All right.
Okay. So you've been handed the plaque, and I'm going to read for everyone all of your accomplishments. The proclamation reads, whereas Lucas Ramirez was selected by his fellow council members to serve as the mayor of Mountain View on January 11th of 2022, and whereas Mayor Ramirez is strongly committed to addressing the regional housing crisis, protecting renters from displacement, improving transportation mobility and bike and pedestrian safety, and helping to make local government more accessible and responsive to residents. And whereas while serving as mayor in 2022, 914 new housing units were approved, including 350 affordable units. The Google Middlefield Park Master Plan was approved, allowing up to 1,900 housing units, including 338 affordable units. And Mayor Ramirez led several study sessions on affordable housing projects and the city's housing element update, all in support of the city's strategic priority of intentional development and housing options. And whereas in support of the strategic priority of community for all, Mayor Ramirez championed providing robust outreach to all members of the community, helped allocate federal American Rescue Plan Act funds to the most vulnerable members of our community, continued efforts to develop the Crestview Hotel as affordable housing, supported the city's continued implementation of the Safe Parking Program, launched the Elevate Mountain View Guaranteed Basic Income pilot, and advocated for the protection of women's reproductive rights. And whereas during Mayor Ramirez's tenure, the city received the prestigious Development Excellence in North America Award from the Urban Land Institute in recognition of Life Moves Mountain View, which provides support services and housing for up to 124 people experiencing homelessness. And whereas during his tenure as mayor, the city continued its commitment to maintaining and sustaining high-quality city facilities, including the opening of Mora Park and Pyramid Park, and whereas Mayor Ramirez facilitated effective city council meetings supporting full participation and respectful council discourse and public comment, and providing artful online meeting management, and whereas Mayor Ramirez supported and assisted small businesses, which included approving the scope to develop an economic vitality strategy for the city, establishing a Castro Street pedestrian mall, allocating American Rescue Plan Act funds for small business recovery, and forming the council ad hoc subcommittee on the interim Castro Street pedestrian mall, all towards further recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and the advancement of the council's economic vitality strategy priority. And there's a lot more. Whereas Mayor Ramirez chaired the Council Appointments Review Committee and served on the Council Finance Committee Investment Review Committee, Council Goal Setting Committee, Council Neighborhoods Committee, and Council Policy and Procedures Committee, and whereas Mayor Ramirez has represented the city of Mountain View regionally by sitting on the Santa Clara County Homeless Task Force and Santa Clara Valley Water Commission, and serving as an alternate on the Association of Bay Area Governments Executive Board, Community Health Awareness Council, County of Santa Clara Comprehensive County Expressway Planning Study Policy Advisory Board, Grand Boulevard Task Force Policy Committee, Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority Policy Advisory Committee, and Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority State Route 85 Corridor Policy Advice Board. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mountain View City Council, on behalf of its members, city staff, and the community, does hereby express great appreciation to Lucas Ramirez for his leadership and service as the 2022 mayor of the city of Mountain View. Now, here's the part where I go off script. I have to say, you all may know that our city manager is from Redwood City, comes to us from Redwood City, and has told me that Redwood City has a tradition of the vice mayor giving the outgoing mayor a gift. She thought it was a tradition here, and I bought the gift before we found out it wasn't. So. But just to add to the festivities, we're going to go with it. And we also have, so the gifts, it's a number of gifts because we're going to outdo Redwood City. So the gifts are art prints from local artists. And we have a local artist here to present two of the gifts, if Harumo can come up, if she's still with us. And until then, come on up. Now, I know your brother's involved in the arts, and I asked him what kind of art you like. He wasn't quite sure whether you yet appreciate art. So I thought we would go with, I know you appreciate a good housing policy. So I thought we would go with some things that local artists have done in appreciation of good housing policy. This one, we're up here so that maybe I don't know if the camera can get it or if you can show it. This one, to me, portrays form-based zoning, clearly. This is an artist who, in addition to doing prints, he does birdhouses. And clearly what's going on here is you can house as many birds as you want in each house, as long as they are beautiful birdhouses. And then Harumo, Harumo is a local artist who I appreciate for a number of reasons. You should visit her studio in the Cavalier Center in Mountain View. But she's going to present you with two prints, one which looks like our policy regarding stacked flats, I think, and one clearly says affordable housing on it. So that would be affordable housing.
Thank you. That concludes the off the record or off the script part.
we're done with the off-script part.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. It's very sweet. And thank you very much.
So it's my friend's work. It's Daryl, yeah.
Thank you. And you should meet my brother.
Yeah, no. We are friends actually. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that you guys are brothers. I didn't know until Addison told me. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So now we'll go.
Now we go back.
So you're
Here's the
continuing.
gavel I was
Okay.
to give you.
Thank you. I believe you continue running this set.
Do I? Okay. So, would any member of council like to say a few words?
You don't have to.
You want me to do it? Okay. Okay. So, Councilmember Kamei.
Great, thank you. Well, I feel like I already embarrassed Lucas enough, our mayor enough, by telling him he had to go to the front and enjoy his moment. But I would be remiss if I didn't say a few words, but I want to keep it really brief as to limit the level of his discomfort. So I will say there are three things that I find very amazing about serving with our mayor, both on the council, but also when we were on the Environmental Planning Commission together, which is Lucas is an incredible listener. If any of you have been the one who he's met with for 3 hours, keeping me from my meeting with him, that's partially why. But he's always willing anytime, any day to listen, and I find that an incredible skill for the hard work that we have to do as policymakers. He's an incredible teammate. I think that, though I'm not sure he follows sports, he is incredible about being a collaborator and always asks me, what can I do to help? How can I make this happen? And I think with a council, a 7-member council, you need to be collaborative and you need to be a really great teammate. And lastly, I want to just share that he is incredibly thoughtful. He's always one to kind of check in and put himself, unfortunately, last. But I did try today to make sure he had dinner, which he declined. But he's always willing to put others, especially our city of Mountain View, our residents, our community first. And I think that's what makes him an incredible colleague, but most of all, what has made him be an incredible mayor. So thank you.
So next I see Councilmember Matichak.
Thank you. Lucas, I really enjoyed having you as mayor. And I'll also keep this brief. I also have 3 things I want to say, because that's how many people can remember. 3 things. I really appreciated your sense of humor this past year. It's a key attribute you have. I also appreciate the way you run meetings. Even though I think all of us had technical challenges, including you, we made it through, so I appreciate the way you ran those. And, I always appreciate, from one process-focused person to another, your focus on processes and establishing more policies around processes. So I think that's helped all of us, so thank you for that. So unfortunately, you'll still be here with us, so thank you for a good year as mayor.
Next I see Councilmember Abekoga.
Thank you. I too want to keep it short, but also, even though you looked directly at me and said, we don't need to say anything, I wanted to say thank you for your service this year as mayor. It's, we all know it's a very difficult position, especially we thought we'd be out of COVID by now, and we weren't. So I appreciate your flexibility and your sense of humor. I think we really needed a lot of that during this time, and you definitely added that. So thank you. I'm always just really struck by your passion. I appreciate that you're a local kid, and I can see that you really love this community. It's been a pleasure to learn more about you and your family and your history here. I think that's really, valuable, and I can see where you get your passion from that. I appreciate your, wonkiness. Like, we've had some conversations, long conversations on the issues. And again, we don't maybe always agree, but I think that's the beauty of it, is when we can find commonality, which I think we have done many, many times. That's what keeps our city moving forward. So thank you so much for your service and your commitment, and, breathe a sigh of relief now. And I look forward to continuing to work with you. Thanks.
And Councilmember Showalter.
Okay, we get to say 3 things. All right. I too have always just been fascinated by your analytical mind relative to policy. You are very good at sussing out what is the heart of the matter. And that's very important, because we have a lot of murky issues that we have to work on. So having people who, get to the heart of things and say, this is what really counts, is very important. Your passion about housing on so many levels is it's very heartwarming, and it's also very practical. You've gotten a lot done. And then the other thing I really admire about you is how you have maintained an incredible connection to so many community organizations while you've had all of the obligations of mayor. Kudos. So thank you, Lucas.
And now we will have remarks by the outgoing mayor.
First, thank you all very much. It's very kind of you all to say, and it really has been an honor to serve as the mayor for the past year and work with all of you. So I have somewhere between 700 and 800 words written on a couple of pieces of paper, and I'll just go through this, and then we'll run through the rest of the meeting. In remarks prepared upon assuming this title last year, I spoke to the merits and contributions of each of my colleagues on the City Council. I stand by those remarks. We have a good team. I'm proud of the work that you do and that we do every day. Now, at the conclusion of my service as mayor, I want to elevate and praise the work of our city staff, the professional civil servants who are responsible for the daily operations of our city. Kimbra, you run a tight ship, and we are all grateful to you and to everyone in the city manager's office for the many long and difficult months you worked during an extended period of emergency operations. I'm excited to resume working with you on our community's priorities as we transition to a post-pandemic normality. Jennifer, you entered this organization at a very challenging time, but you and your team in the city attorney's office have done remarkable work providing guidance and navigating us through tough legal questions. Heather, I could not have gotten through the past year successfully without the assistance of everyone in the city clerk's office. You, Mary, Wanda, and Dylan have been responsive, helpful, patient, and very kind. I'm grateful to you for your support. Dawn and RT, I would be surprised if any department got more attention from the council than Public Works and Community Development. But you and your staff always are cool, calm, and collected, and I know our community appreciates the fantastic work you do to keep up our infrastructure and carefully shape the physical evolution of our city. Juan and Chris, ensuring the safety of our community has always been the city's top priority. The women and men in the fire department and police department who risk their lives every day to protect us are the best in the industry. It is a tremendous privilege to work with them and with you. John and Tracy, I cannot overstate the importance of the programming provided by community services and the library for the residents in our community, especially as we emerge from the pandemic. I'm grateful to you and your staff for your creativity and attention to the needs of the public. And though I was unsuccessful, I give extra credit to you and your staff, John, for helping me attempt to steal the tree lighting ceremony last month in close coordination with the Grinch. Just because work is behind the scenes does not mean it is not essential. We have you and your team in HR to thank, Sue, for the extraordinary talent with which we've been blessed. And the work we do would not be possible without the support of your staff, Roger, and IT. Jesse left big shoes to fill, but I know that Derek, our incoming Finance and Administrative Services Director, and his team will continue that good and critical work. Lenka, thank you for all of your assistance preparing me for the many events in which I took part as mayor. You and your team in communications have been invaluable. I've often heard staff in the city of San Jose, my employer, say, my job is to make the council look good. And boy, here in Mountain View, we look pretty darn good. My friends, the time of my departure is at hand. I have competed well, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Second letter of St. Paul to Timothy, chapter 4, verses 6 to 8. All I wanted to do is go the distance. If I can go that distance, seeing that bell rings and I'm still standing, I'm gonna know for the first time in my life, see, that I weren't just another bum from the neighborhood. Rocky 1, 1976. Joe, I do appreciate a lowbrow cultural reference. And though my face be bloodied, bruised black and blue, my head is held up high. Thank you for the great honor to hold this title and to serve my hometown as mayor. As a parting thought, I want to share a lesson that I wish I had better learned earlier in my term. Shortly after I became the mayor in January 2022, I had the extraordinary opportunity to attend the United States Conference of Mayors in Washington, D.C. On several occasions, I heard repeated what I now understand to be an axiomatic statement. The power of the mayor is to convene. I joined the council, as everyone does, with policy goals. Over the past year, I've learned that the mayor is not empowered to achieve policy goals, not unilaterally, at least. The power of the mayor is to convene. The mayorship that leverages this great and subtle power will leave behind a legacy of lasting and profound impact. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So fortunately, we are now moving on to item 7.3, administration of oath of office to elected council members Allison Hicks, Ellen Kamei, and Lucas Ramirez. And so we will now, the three of us, join City Clerk Glazer at the lectern. Swear or affirm?
Whatever you would like to say. You ready? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Lucas Ramirez,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
We will proceed now to item 7.4, remarks by re-elected council members. And let's go ahead and start with Councilmember Kamei.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Okay. All right. Good evening. It's so wonderful to be welcomed back to our first in-person city council meeting with all of you for such a joyous occasion. When I was first elected 4 years ago, I never thought that the 3 of my 4 years on council would be during a global pandemic and predominantly virtual. Yet here we all are. We have persevered and we're back. I'm deeply honored to once again have the support of our community for a second term as a council member for our incredible city. Our city council appointees are all women with a staff that is top-notch. Countless city staff work to make tonight's reorganization happen and have been keeping us safe through the pandemic and the most recent floods and storms. Can we give them all a round of applause, please? With public servants like the ones we have in Mountain View, we can all be proud. Mountain View is also fortunate to have a historically collegial city council that is passionate about putting our residents and the most pressing public policy matters first. I've been a part of 2 councils, and I'd like to thank my colleagues, Councilmember Abekoga, Showalter, Matacek, Lieber, Vice Mayor Hicks, Mayor Ramirez, and my former council colleagues, Councilmembers Clark and McAllister. It's our collaborative spirit which has enabled us to get so much done and to become regional leaders on many important issues. Together, we've pipelined hundreds of affordable housing units and thousands of market rate units, established equity-based budgeting, a race equity and inclusion action plan, and reinvest in our youngest residents and families through our youth wellness programs. As I begin this second term, I'll continue to champion what inspired me to join the Environmental Planning Commission a decade ago and run for city council in the first place, creating more housing opportunities so that raising children, multi-generational families, and aging in place are not a struggle, and to help create rental and ownership opportunities for our moderate income households and our missing middle. Developing transportation, bicycle, and pedestrian infrastructure so that residents may enjoy open space, parks, and connectivity between our neighborhoods. Maintain an environmental sustainability and addressing climate change so that our current and future generations can continue to enjoy the place that they call home. As your council member, I'm constantly thinking about our strategic priority to be a community for all. It's our diversity that makes Mountain View a wonderful place to live. So what do I hope we accomplish next? I look forward to working with residents, city staff, and our community to both literally and figuratively roll up our sleeves to aid our small businesses, help our most vulnerable through our upcoming displacement strategy and middle income housing report back, and tackle long-standing issues in our goal-setting process. Lastly, I'd also like to thank my family for their love and support. It is because of them that I am able to be a new full-time working mom and a council member. And I'd like to call out something particularly special. I've often spoken about my paternal roots in Mountain View, But today is the same day my mom was sworn into the San Jose City Council. How fortunate am I to have an exemplary role model and hero in her. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for the honor of serving all of you. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Kamei. Vice Mayor Hicks?
I'm going to keep it short and sweet at this point. I'm going to thank everybody who voted for me and also all those who did not vote for me but gave me great advice on how to do better next time. I'm going to also thank everybody who worked for my election, and also all of those who I met at Ice Cream Socials, which is actually my favorite place to meet voters, to stand in line while they stand in line for ice cream and ask them what they want most from their city council and for their city. That's actually where I've learned the most, I think, during Ice Cream Socials. So with that, I also lastly want to also thank my family who put up with hastier dinners and other things while I was running for office. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And similarly, since I've already provided remarks, I'll be very brief and likewise thank my family. My brother Jesse Cupp is here, and many members of my family here in Mountain View and not too far away, and they've always been supportive from the very beginning. And I'm immensely grateful to you for everything that you've done in the good times and in the difficult. In the last council meeting, my brother actually dropped by something to drink just because, as Councilmember Kamei alluded to, I don't do a good job of taking care of myself. So thank you. And then as Vice Mayor Hicks had shared, thank you to everyone who helped me with the campaign. As Councilmember Kamei had shared, it's tough to do this job while you're working full-time, while you're running a campaign, and it really does take a great team to keep us powering through, to help us with technical matters of compliance. A treasurer is great, and I'm grateful to you for allowing me to continue to serve the city of Mountain View for another 4 years. Thank you. We will now proceed. Thank you. We will now proceed to item 7.5, the nomination and election of the new mayor. I will call for nominations for mayor. Councilmember Kamei.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Ramirez. It's an honor and pleasure for me to nominate Vice Mayor Allison Hicks to be the next mayor of the city of Mountain View. Vice Mayor Hicks has lived in our city for decades and brings her perspective as a former city planner. Over the last 4 years, during our time as colleagues on council, I've grown to know her skill set and what's top of mind for her. Great planning for a city as it grows. Vice Mayor Hicks is a champion for many of the projects that will come forward to us this year, enhancing our Castro pedestrian mall, nurturing small businesses, expanding safe parking, historic preservation in our downtown, biodiversity and wildlife management, building affordable housing and fighting displacement, improving our community tree master plan, updating our parks and open space plan, and creating an active transportation plan. If you've spoken to her, she often talks about the livability of our community and how we can help make our residents thrive. I've appreciated that the Vice Mayor is an advocate for a balanced Mountain View and particularly supports work-life balance for parents of young children like myself. I'm thrilled to recommend her leadership as mayor. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Matichak?
I'd like to second that nomination.
Thank you. Seeing no other council members in the queue, I will close nominations, and the city clerk will conduct the vote by roll call. When called upon, state the name of the person for whom you vote. I'm not sure if we have to do that. Can we just do the conventional?
Yeah, for sure. Councilmember Kamei?
Yes.
Councilmember Matichak?
Yes.
Councilmember Abe Koga?
Aye.
Councilmember Showalter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hicks?
Yes.
Mayor Ramirez?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Congratulations, Mayor Hicks.
Okay. So next, I'm going to call for nominations for vice mayor. Would anybody like to nominate? I see Councilmember Abekoga.
Thank you, Mayor Hicks. It's with great pleasure that I nominate Councilmember Pat Showalter for vice mayor. Pat is a longtime resident of Mountain View, which she says has been her home for most of her adult life. And she served the community in many capacities over the decades. She's served on many community boards, such as the Santa Clara League of Conservation Voters, the Los Altos Mountain View Area League of Women Voters, Alta Housing, Carbon Free Mountain View Coalition for Sustainable Planning, and the Cooper Park Neighborhood Association, which she founded. I especially appreciate that we have shared experiences as mothers who enjoyed being involved in a range of activities related to our children, in particular the Girl Scouts, where Pat was a Girl Scout leader, and in the PTA. So specifically for the city of Mountain View, she served as an environmental planning commissioner for 9 years and was first elected to the council in 2014, served as vice mayor in 2015, mayor in 2016, and was elected again to the council in 2020. Professionally, she is a proud civil engineer focused on water, and she has used her knowledge and experience for the good of the community and serving on bodies such as the Bay Conservation and Development Commission, BCDC, the San Francisco Bay Restoration Authority, the Energy and Environment Committee of the National League of Cities, Water Now Alliance, Santa Clara County's Recycling and Waste Reduction Commission, and the Valley Water Advanced Water Reuse Committee. I appreciate our shared vision of combating climate change, making that a priority so that we can ensure a bright future for us and our children. Many of you know that we as a council and as a city pride ourselves in being leaders on several issues such as housing, climate change, and creating a community for all. With Pat's leadership, I am confident that we will be able to continue our leadership role. And especially I appreciate, Pat, your positivity and your collaborative nature. It's been a real pleasure working with you. I look forward to working with you as our new vice mayor. And welcome to the Recycled Club. Thank you.
Do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second the nomination.
Okay, so now the city clerk will conduct the vote by roll call.
Councilmember Abekoga?
Aye.
Councilmember Matichak?
Yes.
Councilmember Kamei?
Yes.
Councilmember Showalter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hicks?
Yes.
Mayor Ramirez?
Former Mayor Ramirez, yes.
Oh, sorry. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Now we will hear remarks by the incoming vice mayor.
Well, thank you very much. I'm just delighted to have this opportunity to serve as vice mayor. It's really a great honor and privilege. And it's also a bit of a surprise. This hasn't been something, we have a rotation that we go through, and based on our first presentation, that's been, that was upended a little bit a few weeks ago. So I'm very, very pleased to have this opportunity. One of the things that I'm so proud about Mountain View City Council is our long-standing tradition of civility. We conduct our business in a straightforward, respectful manner, and this tradition has served us really well, and it makes our meetings a lot more pleasant. And I also think it's very good for helping us recruit and retain the great staff that we get to carry out the policies that we decide. It's also our custom to have a great deal of community involvement in our decision making. We have a rich ecosystem in Mountain View of nonprofits and advocacy groups that are experts in their fields. And they're not shy about helping us make decisions and bringing information to our attention. And it's really a treasure. We also have an innovative business community, and together we can accomplish great things for our community. We recognize the value of working with school districts. Theda, thank you for coming. And our neighboring cities. We step up to advocate for appropriate legislation, both on the federal level and the state level. So how we work together is with civility and togetherness. And I wanted to really emphasize that, because I think for us, the how makes the what go much more smoothly. And we've talked about that what tonight quite a bit. We provide the policy behind city services that are so crucial to our well-being and functioning: parks, roads, water, police, fire protection, library are provided. We plan for the future of our community. We really take a very responsible viewpoint for increased housing, for developing our transportation network as needed, particularly focusing on pedestrian and bicycle-friendly infrastructure, working diligently to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, adapting to the new climate realities with our sea level rise protection program and our recycled water policies. We work to support the most vulnerable members of our community. This has been particularly challenging during the COVID pandemic, but I, for one, and I think I'm joined by really probably everybody in this room, am very proud of the way we've stepped forward. We're not done yet, but we've made tremendous progress, and it's something that I think we'll look back on for many decades and be pleased with how we came together to help those in our community get through this experience. But again, I just want to thank you for this honor. I look forward to working with everybody, and I urge you to contact me on a regular basis with your ideas and suggestions. And I love to go out for walks and bike rides, and let's schedule a whole bunch of them. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Vice Mayor, for those words. And now it's time for words from the incoming mayor. I'd like to start by thanking my fellow council members for all their kind words and votes. And then just say what several people have mentioned. This is a huge day. This is our first in-person meeting in almost 3 years. I mean, that's incredible. When at the time that we vacated the dais, I thought it was going to be several weeks, maybe several months at the most. In fact, it's been so long that although all of the council members sitting on the dais, you have had the opportunity to see in the past if you've come to these meetings before, all of our appointees and staff are new. You have never seen them in real life. You've seen them virtually. You've never seen them in real life. And I'd also like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know we've tried to come back several times, and every time there's more pandemic or bomb cyclones. It's one thing after another. So thank you for coming out despite the, I'm sure, floods on the roads on the way here. And moreover, this is our first hybrid meeting ever. So hello to those of you in Mountain View who are here virtually and around the Bay Area and around the country and the world watching. I've had requests from my 94-year-old mother in Petaluma to watch, and my 93-year-old mother-in-law in Turkey. So I think that hybrid and virtual meetings are one of the few good things to come out of COVID. I've been told by many residents that a hybrid system will help them participate better in our governance. I value that highly, and I want to hear all your input on what's working and what's not working as we stumble through this new way of meeting with you all. Anyway, so I'm thrilled to be mayor as we come together again and do the work we've long wanted to do to make this a truly great city. The work we largely had to put aside as we addressed the COVID pandemic. I'll name some of the upcoming work that inspires me, but first I want to tell a very short story. I spent New Year's in a small town in the Sierra foothills called Fiddletown with about 20 friends and family members. And just for fun, while we were there, I decided to ask people whether they'd rather live in the city or the country. We were in the country, so I was kind of expecting the country, and a few people did say the country. I asked people ranging in age from 12 to 70, and almost everybody had a very strong opinion. And most people said the city. I was surprised. But looking back on that, that's fortunate because we all live in a city. And what is a city but a collection of people living together? I think the 12-year-old summed up why he loved living in the city the best, so I'll say what he said. He said, it's easier to visit his friends. It's easier to go to the movies and other stuff. It's easier to go to restaurants and to get groceries, and you can just walk anywhere, so it's more fun. And I really think, we visit a lot of serious issues on council, but I do think this is one of our big missions as council members, to make sure that the city's more fun. A place where we can walk or maybe bike to see our friends, get groceries, go out to the movies, art, music, the park. So sure, we tackle more serious issues, making housing more affordable, fighting homelessness and the climate crisis. But at its core, like I said, the city is just a bunch of us living together, and we have to make it a place people love to live. So I will sum up naming some of the more inspiring things on that should be on our upcoming council agendas, and hope that you can join us either together here in the council chambers or virtually, because I would like to hear your input on all of these issues and more. So those issues will include accelerating our response to the climate crisis, creating a downtown pedestrian mall, nurturing small businesses with our economic vitality plan, expanding safe parking, historic preservation in our downtown, biodiversity and wildlife management, building affordable housing and fighting displacement, improving our community tree master plan, updating our parks and open space plan, creating an active transportation plan. If that's a little technical for you, that mostly means biking and walking. COPA, CLTs, and that may also be a little technical. That's basically community-controlled affordable housing. So, again, I'm glad you all struggled through the rains and floods to come out tonight, and I hope to see you in the coming months. And now, City Attorney Logue, do you have a closed session report?
I do. In closed session this evening, City Council took final action on item 2.1 on the closed session agenda, which was a conference with legal counsel regarding a liability claim filed by Paul Mansourian against the City of Mountain View and Mountain View Police Sergeant Scott Thomas. Mr. Mansourian's claim seeks $450,000 in damages based on the alleged violation of his Fourth Amendment right to be free from unlawful seizure when Sergeant Thomas took him into custody for driving under the influence of alcohol. Council voted with 6 ayes, 0 noes, and 0 abstentions to deny the claim. In closed session this evening, City Council also took final action on item 2.2 on the closed session agenda, which was a conference with legal counsel regarding the liability claim filed by Vijay Kumar against the City of Mountain View. Mr. Kumar submitted a claim to the City of Mountain View seeking millions of dollars in damages because the United States Post Office incorrectly forwarded his mail to an individual named VJ.A. Kumar at an address in Florida. Council voted with 6 ayes, 0 noes, and 0 abstentions to deny that claim.
Thank you. Now we'll move to item number 9 on our agenda, which is adjournment. I'll close by saying the next City Council meeting will be held in person with a virtual component on January 24th, 2023. Please join us in the Rotunda for refreshments. This meeting is adjourned at, does somebody have a clock? At 8:03 p.m.